Hey guys, welcome back to the 5th episode of my Fixing American Democracy series. We're well into fight to reimagine and re-envision America's elections and democracy for generations, and I mean generations to come. In this 5th episode, this is kind of like a follow-up and a part 2 to episode 4, where I talked about reforming the United States House of Representatives, where in the video, in episode 4, I talked about the whole Hamilton method of how it's a method to apportion all the seats in Congress. And I also talked about some of the rules of expanding the size of the United States House of Representatives, which two of them was the cube root rule and the Wyoming rule, which you learned in episode 4. And after that, I also talked about some of the issues that gerrymandering, that some of the problems what a bigger house could lead to, like gerrymandering, for instance. And I also went into some solutions that could forever kill the gerrymandering in our American democracy, which is single transferable voting, fair representation, aka fair representation voting, or even mixed member proportional. And in the first video, and in the first part of the episode, I wanted to talk about the cube root rule. And as you know, it's the number of representatives would be the cube root of the United States population minus the 100 senators. And how I did this is I took the cube root of the U.S. population that ultimately got an answer of 684.9997833. Then, after that, I subtracted it by 100, which is minus the 100 senators, and I got 584.9999783. And after that, I rounded it up by only 1 and ultimately got 585 members that ultimately increased the United States House from 435 members to now 585. And after I got my answer with the cube root rule, after that, I used the Hamilton method. And before I began, this is what I did. This is essentially what I did. This is all the apportionments that I did under the Hamilton method with the population, the quota, the initial, and the final. And how I did this is before, like as you may know, under the Hamilton method, as you learned in episode 4 of my Fixing American Democracy series, you may know you have to find the divisor. This is what I did first. So what I did was I took the divisor of the U.S. population, 321,418,820 million, divided by the 585 members, which my ultimate divisor, I got 549,433. And after that, I took each of the states' population individually and divided it with divisor. For instance, I took the overall population of my home state of California, that has a population of about 39,512,223,000, and then I divided it by our divisor, which is 549,433, and then I got, and my quota was 71.9145428. And I did the same thing with Texas, divided Texas's population, and then divided it with our divisor, and I got 52.77418,903, as you see right now. And I did the same thing with all the 50 states, and in my initial count, I got 572 seats. And as you may know, not all the seats are under the initial part are not all apportioned to all the 50 states. So as you learned in the 4th episode, and as Mattis 4 Power U talked about it, the link to the video will be in the link to his video will be in the description below. If not all the seats are apportioned under the initial count, you take the states with the largest decimal points. You take the states with the largest decimal points, and they will get the additional seats. And after that, that's what I did. States like California, Texas, the state of Washington, the state of Alabama, the state of Utah, the state of Iowa, the state of New Mexico, the state of Montana, the state of Rhode Island, and the state of Delaware actually got the additional seats. So for the final count, California, like for the initial count, California actually got 71 House seats. This time around, California actually, but in the final apportionment count, they actually got a total of 72 representatives. Texas, on the other hand, in the initial count, got 52 representatives. In the final count, in the final apportionment, they got 53 representatives. For Florida, they got 39 representatives in the initial count and still kept their 39 representatives. New York got 35 initial representatives, and they thus, in the final apportionment, got only 35. They didn't get any additional seats. Illinois, Pennsylvania both got 23. Ohio got 21. Georgia got 19. North Carolina got 19. Michigan got 18. New Jersey got 16. The state of Virginia got 15. The state of Washington, with its final apportionment, got one additional seat, which ultimately increased their size to 14 representatives. Arizona increased to 13 representatives. Massachusetts increased to 12 representatives. Tennessee increased to 12 representatives. Indiana increased to 12 representatives. Missouri increased to 11. Maryland increased to 12. Wisconsin increased to 10. Colorado increased to 10 representatives. Minnesota increased to 10 representatives. South Carolina remained at 9 representatives. Increased at 9 representatives. Alabama actually increased to 9 representatives. The state of Louisiana increased to 8 representatives. Kentucky increased to 8. Oregon increased to 7. Oklahoma increased to 7. Connecticut increased to 6. Utah increased to 6. In Iowa, the state of Iowa increased to 6. But it doesn't stop here. In Nevada, Nevada actually increased to 5 representatives. Arkansas increased to 5. Mississippi increased to 5. Kansas increased to 5. The state of New Mexico, in the initial part, actually it got 3 seats. But in the final count, they actually got an additional seat because they also had a large decimal point, so they increased to 4. Nebraska has 3. West Virginia got 3 representatives. Idaho got 3. The state of Hawaii got 2. The state of New Hampshire got 2. The state of Maine got 2. The state of Montana actually increased from 1 representative to 2 representatives. The state of Rhode Island remained at 2. And Delaware gained an additional representative, so now they have 2 representatives. South Dakota remains at 1. North Dakota remains at 1. Alaska remains at 1. Vermont remains at 1. And Wyoming remains at 1. And that's how I pretty much apportion all the seats in Congress. And I used all the rules. I used the cube root rule to expand and increase the size of the United States House of Representatives, and while also I as well apportioned all the 585 members in Congress to all the 50 states. And some of you may know, I left out Washington, D.C. Well, I did that intentionally, simply because I actually added Washington, D.C.'s population to the state of Maryland population. So in this scenario, Washington, D.C. is actually part of the state of Maryland, so they get representation in Maryland. So after this, you may know, as you learned in episode 4, if we expand the size of the United States House of Representatives, there's going to be one major problem, which is gerrymandering, and that's an overall problem overall in our democracy, because it can lead to one party. Partisan gerrymandering hasn't been ruled unconstitutional, meaning it's still constitutional and still legal in the country, which honestly, partisan gerrymandering or gerrymandering entirely should be completely banned, because it's a form of cheating, and and our main goal should always be having free and fair elections overall, and making sure we have districts that are fair to all parties, that are fair to the Democratic Party, that are fair to the Republican Party, that are fair to the Green Party, that are fair to the Libertarian Party, and other parties, and so on, like the Reform Party, for instance. And as you know, from the 4th episode that I'm not completely for fair representation voting, or which is single transferable voting or multi-member district. I'm not for that. I'm actually for mixed member proportional, which under this system, and as I did, but first, take a look at your new United States House maps. As you see, you may notice that there is less congressional districts, and there are a lot more bigger districts overall. California gets actually 12 local representatives, and the state of Mississippi gets an at-large district, but they also get party list representatives as well. So this is your new United States House map, and under this system, if we use under a mixed member proportional, California gets 12 local constituency seats, while California actually gets 60 party list seats, or that will ultimately come out to be their 72 representatives. And under this system, and as well, when I mean party list, it's based on the party's list, getting how many members will get off the list, and they will get a seat in the United States House of Representatives. The state of Pennsylvania, what I did was they get 3 local districts or constituency seats, and they get 20 party list seats, and that will equal out to be their 23 representatives. The state of Texas actually gets 13 local representatives, and they also get 40 party list representatives, which equal out to be their 53 representatives. The state of Ohio actually gets 3 representatives, and gets 3 local representatives. I'm sorry about that. They also get 18 party list representatives that come out to be their 21 representatives. The state of Florida actually gets 9 local congressional districts, while they also get 30 party list representatives. The state of Georgia gets 4 representatives, and they get 15 party list representatives, which equal out to be their 19 representatives. The state of New York actually gets 5 local representatives, and plus their 30 party list representatives, would that equal out to be their 35 representatives. North Carolina actually gets 3 local representatives, and they get 16 party list representatives, which equals out to be their 19 representatives. The state of Illinois gets 3 local representatives, which equal to be their 20 representatives. The state of Michigan gets 9 local representatives, and they also get 9 party list representatives that equal out to be their 18 representatives. The state of New Jersey gets 3 local representatives, and they also get 13 party list representatives, which equal out to be their 16 representatives. And moving on, the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia gets 3 representatives, and they also get 12 party list representatives, which equal out to be their 15 representatives. The state of Missouri gets 5 representatives, and they also get 6 party list representatives that equal out to be their 11 representatives. And for the state of Maryland, for that sake, they get 1 big at-large district, and which is their one big constituency district, and they actually get 11 party list representatives. The state of Washington gets 7 local congressional districts. They also get 7 party list representatives that equal out to be their 14 representatives. The state of Wisconsin gets 5 local representatives, and they also get 5 party list representatives that equal out to be their 10 representatives. Colorado is the same thing. They split with 5 local reps and 5 party list reps that equal out to be their 10. And the state of Arizona gets 6 local seats, and they also get 7 party list seats. As well, the state of Minnesota splits just like Colorado and Wisconsin. They get 5 local seats and 5 party list seats. The state of South Carolina gets 2 local seats, and they also get 7 party list representatives, which equal out to be their 9 representatives. The state of Massachusetts gets 3 local seats. They also get 9 party list seats, which equal out to be their 12 representatives. The state of Alabama equals their 3 local House seats, and they also get 6 party list representatives that ultimately equals out to be their 9 representatives. The state of Louisiana splits with 4, meaning they get 4 constituency seats, and they also get 4 party list seats. The state of Tennessee gets 6 local representatives, and they also get 6 party list representatives that come out to be their 12 reps. The state of Kentucky gets 4 local representatives and 4 party list representatives that come out to be their 8 representatives. The state of Oklahoma comes out to be 3 representatives, and they also have 4 representatives, which equal out to be their 7 representatives. The state of Indiana splits with 6 local representatives, and they also have 6 party list representatives that equal out to be their 12 representatives. The state of Oklahoma gets 1 big at-large district, and they have 6 party list representatives. As well, the state of Connecticut gets 2 local seats, and they also get 4 party list representatives. For Utah, the Mormon state, they get 3 local seats, and they also get 3 party list seats, which equal out to be their 6 representatives. The state of Iowa increases to 3 local representatives, and they also increase to 3 party list representatives that come out to be their 6 representatives. Nevada get 1 big at-large district, which one big at-large district, and they have 4 party list representatives as well, which equal out to be their 5 representatives. The state of Arkansas gets 1 local representative, and they also have 4 party list representatives. The state of Mississippi gets 1 local representative, and they have ultimately 4 party list representatives. The state of Kansas gets 1 big at-large district, and they get 4 party list representatives that comes out to be their 5 reps. The state of New Mexico gets 1 local representative and 3 party list representatives that come out to be their 4 representatives. The state of Nebraska gets 1 big congressional district, which equal out to be their 1 local districts that ultimately come out to be their 2 party list representatives, which ultimately equals their 3 reps. Nevada, the state of West Virginia, not Nevada. We talked about Nevada. They get 1 local district, and they also get 3 party list seats. The state of Idaho gets 1 local congressional district and 2 party list seats, which ultimately equals out to be their 3 reps. The state of Hawaii comes out to gets 1 local seat, 1 big at-large district with 1 party list representative. The state of New Hampshire comes out to gets also 1 big at-large district with 1 party list representative. The state of Maine comes out to be their 1 local representative and one party list representative that comes out to be their 2 representatives. The state of Montana comes out to be their 1 local representative and 1 party list representative that comes out to be their 2 representatives. The state of Rhode Island comes out to be their 1 local representative and 1 party list representative that comes out to be their 2 representatives. Same as Delaware, it splits with 1 and 1, with 1 local seat and 1 party list seat. With 2 reps. The overall problem that you may know, like as you went into detail, is that the one problem that I see with this that's going to be really hard to get mixed member proportional to work in the United States House of Representatives is that some states only have 1, which is really hard for me. So, and how do we ensure that all directly elected members, which is constituency representatives that are elected to represent a district, still get a seat. And while also in the meantime, political parties that get 5% of the party-wide vote still get a seat in Congress. So this is where the Germans came up with this method in Germany, because Germany actually uses mixed member proportional, and they came up with overhang and balance seats, which is pretty much extra seats in the Bundestag. And we can do the same thing with the United States House of Representatives. You can have extra seats in the United States House of Representatives to ensure that every member of our House, to ensure that people who are directly elected to represent a district still get a seat, while in the meantime, political parties are still proportionally representative, and it's also mainly, as well, it's preserving our founders' vision, and as well preserving the ideal that the House of Representatives is still the biggest body in Congress. And sometimes you might get an election, House election, where it might exceed 585 members. You might get 600, you might get 700 representatives, you might get 631 representatives in an election because of the proportional vote. Because in order for as you may learn in episode 4, that if political parties, in order for a political party to gain a seat, they have to get either one constituency seat or get 5% of the party-wide vote. And if we add overhang and balance seats, it's really gonna ensure that every political party gets 5% of the vote in any state will still get a seat in the House of Representatives, as well to make sure that that all the states and to make sure as well that every representative that is directly elected to represent a single district still gets a seat. But I'm not done here. I'm not done because I actually and I ran through the total count. Under mixed member proportional, there would be a total of 163 electric seats plus 422 party list members. That come out to be 585. But as you may know, that I talked about with overhang and balance seats, which is pretty much extra seats in the United States House of Representatives, to ensure that every political party that is directly elected still gets a seat, while in the meantime, people who are represented to represent a district, a single congressional district, or that are elected to represent a district, an at-large district like Vermont or the state of Maine or the state of Montana, they get, as long as one party gets 5% of the vote in Vermont, they will still get seats, which is pretty much the overhang and balance seat, pretty much extra seats in the United States House of Representatives, and to make sure political parties are still proportionally represented in Congress, and to make sure that people who are directly elected to represent a district still get a seat. And but before I end, I also I went into further detail with this. The state, as you may know, I'm from California, the Golden State, of course. They get, since they have 72 representatives, one thing I did, as you see under this picture, I actually redrew some of the districts. They get I actually split it, meaning they get 12 electric districts, 12 electric seats, and they also get 60 PR or party list seats, which are pretty much representatives that get off the list in order of their party's list. And they get one candidate gets 12 electric seats. And the candidates will all run in these 12 districts, and only one person can win. And as you may know in the 4th episode, there is ranked choice voting to ensure that a directly elected member that is elected to represent a district has to get 50% of the vote in order to get a district. I mean, you still rank the candidates in order of preference. And as you may know, under ranked choice voting, instead of just voting for one candidate, you get to rank the candidates in order of preference. You rank your favorite candidate as number 1, your second favorite as number 2, your third favorite as number 3, your fourth favorite as number 4, and your fifth favorite as your fifth favorite, and your least favorite choice is ranked at the bottom of a ranking. And under California's new House congressional seat map for the United States House of Representatives, my district the 49th district currently gets actually redrawn into California's 9th House district. And under this system, and it looks very familiar. This ballot actually looks very familiar to what you saw in the 4th episode. I just changed the title with your first vote being your electric vote, which is California, which is my new district, California's 9th House district. And under this system, under the first vote, you can still get to rank the candidates in order of preference, and whoever gets 50% plus whoever gets 50% will be elected to represent your district. But if no candidate in your first vote gets 50% in your district, then the candidate with the least amount of support will be eliminated from the race, and those candidates that selected that candidate as number one will have their next choices counted. And this process will keep continuing until one candidate gets 50% of the vote, which is pretty much instant runoff voting. And under your second vote, you get this is a party vote. You get the vote for one political party. And as you see under my ballot, I voted for the California Reform Party. And as long as the party gets 5% of the party-wide vote and or wins an electric seat, they will be represented in Congress. For instance, if Republicans in California under the party vote, if they really suffered so many losses when it came and they only won one electric seat, and the Democrats win almost completely, it's a blowout, they win almost close to 8 electric seats. Well, Republicans can still make up the ground in California as long as they do very well in the party vote. They might get 34% of the party vote, or they might even break 40% of the party vote, which means that they will get their one electric member will still get one representative, but as well they will also have other representatives that will get off their party's list to get a seat in the United States House of Representatives. So if you get 40% or 30% of the vote, they will get 40% of all the seats in the House or 30% of all the seats in the Congress. This is also very beneficial to third parties, and this will ultimately completely break up the two-party system, which is ultimately a good thing. Because as you know, from when this series began, more choices, the better. More parties, the better. Because it means competition, and everyone is getting heard in Congress. And this is ultimately going to forever kill the gerrymandering, because you're going to have one half of the House of Representatives being made up of directly elected members, and the other half is being made up of party list representatives. So, and as well, to back this up, Massachusetts, this changes the complete ball game in Massachusetts, because currently there's all the districts elected all Democrats. But you're not representing the state very well, because the Republicans still get a decent amount of vote for them to be actually proportionally represented. But that's not the rules under winner take all, because it's the winner with the most votes wins. But under a proportional system, the Republicans will still get, if they don't get any congressional districts in Massachusetts, they might get at least, if they at least crack 5% of the party vote in Massachusetts, they can get some proportionate seats in Congress. This is going to ultimately mean everyone is going to be represented. Republicans are going to be represented in Massachusetts. They might be represented in Delaware. Democrats might be represented in Texas more often. Democrats might be represented in North Dakota, South Dakota more often, West Virginia more often, the state of Arizona, the state of Utah, the state of Wyoming, the state of Idaho. And third parties are also going to benefit, because all they have to do in order to get a seat in any state is get 5% of the party vote or get one electric seat. Because, as I said before in the 4th episode, if the Green Party, like for instance, let's say in my home state of California, let's say the Green Party only gets 4% of the party vote, and they get no electric seats, they're not going to be represented in Congress, because they didn't meet any of the two requirements: win one electric seat or win one party vote, or get 5% of the party vote. But if they get 4% of the party, if the Green Party gets 4% of the party vote in California, but they also win an electric seat, then they will be entitled to 4% of all the seats. This 4% will be made up of the one electric representative, with the other representatives getting off the Green Party's list. This will be, and they will be proportionally represented in Congress. Overall, this is ultimately going to reimagine and re-envision American democracy and reimagine America's election and democracy overall. It's going to completely, truly create a government that's truly by the people, of the people, and for the people. So let me hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Do you like my ideas? Do you like the solution? Do you think this is going to be this? Do you think this is the necessity to completely create a government that's truly by the people, of the people, and for the people? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, this is the Young Centrist, and I am out.